Hey, this is Divine 219 Lady, and I'm coming to you because this is the third retake of this video. And for some strange reason, I'm just going to blame it on the devil. He doesn't want this message to get out because I've tried recording it 2 through 3 times on my iPad, and it won't record for the life of me. It starts recording, then it stops recording, and I didn't want to do this from my phone because people tend to call me when I get engaged on uh, doing a video for the Lord, so that I can supply it to the people. And so I'm gonna just get on with it. However, um, I lost my train of thought. I probably talked about 15 minutes before realizing that video just got cut off, and I couldn't. There's nothing I could do about it because anyway, this video is about the tribulation. On the last video I made that said the quickly approaching rapture, at the end I talked up a little bit about um, the what to expect, like what to pack up, what to do, how to think. And I wanted to go more into detail with that because for the past few days, like I said, people are calling me right now. Oh my goodness. I had to end that call. I'm sorry about that. So, the devil just doesn't want this message to get out. I'm like disgusted about it, you know? I'm really disgusted about it. Like, I've been trying to record this for the past 20 minutes and I can't seem to get this video out. I didn't gather up the news like I did with the last video to let you know what's going on within the 24 hour, but a lot has happened since yesterday. And massive alligator, 11-foot caught, roars like a dinosaur. That was one. Father shoots his 12-year-old daughter and kills his 4-year-old daughter, but the 12-year-old daughter played dead and was able to get help. And he had self-inflicted wounds. The lady with the pitchfork and whip that was selling teddy bears at the grocery store was finally captured and arrested. A man broke into Volcano Bay restaurant and poured himself $50 worth of alcoholic drinks. I mean, the lawlessness is just wild, and there's always something different when it comes to lawlessness. It's not a standard. It's not just killing, or it's just not, stealing, or it's a lot. It's more than what you probably could even think of, and then when you think of it, it's probably more than that. The lawlessness that's going on here, and I wanted to communicate that I was watching some of these major catastrophes. Like today, it's about anywhere between 95 and 100 degrees, and I'm not talking about the heat index factor. I'm just simply talking about what they said the weather is. And not only Florida is facing extreme heat, but all over the world. I was watching something where China is in their 3 digits, uh, Europe is in their 3 digits. I mean, Switzerland, famine is taking place, crops are being burnt up. I was watching something where this farmer's clothes combusted while he was out in the field, and he was running with fire on him because it was so hot. And I said, you know what? This is it. It feels like the roller coaster ride going up, and you're anticipating, well, once I get to the top, I don't know what's gonna happen when it goes down. Well, I feel like we're at the top now. We finally made it to the top, and so it's just that anticipation and curiosity as to what's about to happen once it go down, and when it does, it's going fast. And that's how I look at what's going on lately. I feel like I don't want to repeat what I said before because I've already said it, but you guys didn't hear it. So that's how long I've been talking on that last video. So, what I want to bring up, I want to say that the last video I made called The Wrath of God, I posted two documentaries in there in the description box about Lisbon earthquake, and I believe it could have been Tornado Valley. I'm not sure. The Day of Darkness. I can't remember which other one it was. But I've been watching those lately, and those were back in the 17 and 1800s of extreme weather catastrophes that there's no doubt that the hand of God was in those, especially that Lisbon. I mean, all of them, but especially that Lisbon one, where, and I'm going to quickly highlight it, where the church, the Roman Catholic churches caught on fire. I mean, the earthquake demolished all of those churches, and then the people that didn't get killed from that, ran to the harbor to be safe, and then the tsunami came and killed a lot of those people, and for those who survived that, ran back to where the earthquake happened with the churches, and it was a fire that took place that killed more of those people. It was like domino effect. You just can't make that up. And for those who can't see that God's hand was in that, you gotta just wonder. That's just, you just feel like that's a normal phenomenon. It's just the way climate goes. No. So I said, well, that was back in the 1800s. Of course, we had little things here and there up until that point, but I wanted to find something a little bit more recent than the 1800s, because when you start getting back that far back, people are like, but what's going on now? That was then, but what about now? So let's take it back a few years, maybe 30, 40 plus years, to the 1970s. There, and I'm going to put this in the description link, there is a documentary on the Great Chicago Fire. And in Revelation it states that the world will no longer be destroyed by a flood. This is why God made the promise with the rainbow to never destroy the world by water again, by a great flood. But he's going to destroy it by fire. And I think in the 1970s with the Great Chicago Fire, I think that was his eye opener for many people to see. This is similar to what I'm going to do, my wrath. So I'm combining the things from the 1800s with the more recent things, and I put those all together and said, imagine all of this stuff happening back to back to back, and this is God's wrath. You just can't get away from major catastrophes and the wrath of him. I saw a documentary where a guy actually held some hail in his hands. It was this big, that broke through windows and windshields and tore cars up. But in the Revelation, he says there's going to be hail that's going to be the weight of 100 talents. 100 pounds, just falling out of the sky. So this message is for those who feel like, that will be left behind. Those who probably will fear the fact that they're left behind, because a lot of people disappear. They don't know. The restrainer has been taken away. The church is gone. The Holy Spirit is not here anymore. Please don't fear. There is still time to recover from that. And it's something called the Tribulation Saints, that you guys can still earn a ticket to be in the kingdom of God when he comes back to reign on earth. You'll be part of the Tribulation Saints. And but it's going to be very, very hard to get that title because of all of the destruction going on. And I wanted to talk about that. So with the Great Chicago fire broke out. Now everything was particularly made of wood during those times. The homes were made more of wood, horse and carriage back in those days. So, well, not really, because this was the 1970s. So, but a lot of that time was made of wood. And they had a courthouse that kind of sort of like the Titanic, how they built the Titanic, and the people were boasting and saying, this ship will never sink. This is an unsinkable ship. There's nothing that can be done to sink this ship. I don't care what goes on, because they felt like they were the masterminds behind it. And in my reality, I think about God probably like, there's nothing you can promise here. Only I can make that promise, and you can't, and I can show you how. And that's how I look at things, because the Titanic ship sank, and everybody was in awe. Like, what? This was the unsinkable ship, because they put all their faith in man and not God, and that was his proof. So with the Chicago fire, they made a courthouse that they said could nothing destroy it, because it was fireproof. It was supposed to be something that, if everything else demolished, that would be the only thing standing, in so many words. However, there was a fire that took place, and the fire was so amazing to people, even though smoke and inhalation, and the fire was so extreme in temperatures. People found the beauty of it in the sky. It was like a fire in the sky. No clouds, nothing, just fire all through the sky. And then it was fire devils that are fire tornadoes. And they were all over. Just imagine whirlwinds of fire in a tornado formation. And you know how when a wind tornado comes down, you have all of that in the sky and it comes down from it. That's how that fire was. It was fire all in the sky, and the fire devils were coming down, demolishing everything in its path. Everything burned. Everything burned. There were prisoners in the courthouse who were banging to get out, banging on the sails and everything to get out. And someone said, we got prisoners in here. And I think the mayor or the governor, whoever it was of that stuff, put in an order to release them. They would need to be they needed to be watched over, but they needed to be released, because it would be inhumane to leave someone in a burning building with fire outside and all of that. So they released them, and a lot of them couldn't find those prisoners anymore. They escaped. They couldn't keep their eye on everything. There's too much going on. But that courthouse that they thought would never fall, never burn, was the first one to go. And that's not funny, but that's just to show man don't make the rules. You can't make the rules and think that it's bonded and that's it. We are just humans. Nothing that we do is forever. Nothing that we do is forever. Nothing's gonna last forever. God showed them. Your little fireproof straw house just got burned down, So, and they were all shocked about it. But to look at that animation, the way they did everything, and look at the catastrophes of everything, wow. So imagine the fire, the Chicago fire. Imagine the Lisbon earthquake that led into a major tsunami that alluded to another great fire. And then the day of darkness, when the sun goes black and the moon turns red and there's no sunlight. And then imagine extreme heat, scorching temperatures from the sun that the wrath of God is going to put down. Imagine just all of that stuff just being repeated over and over and over and over. Volcano eruptions, hail falling, animals, on a rampant. I mean, lawlessness out here, people killing. So, to the tribulation. Who wants to endure any of those things? No one. Or at least I don't. So the thing is to believe and repent now, be saved before all of these things take place. But a lot of people need to see it to believe it. So you're going to be the ones here for the tribulation. So when that time comes, like I said, the first 3.5 years will be just to the Antichrist getting people believing in him and thinking he's God. He's going to be the best man that walked on earth in everybody else's eyes outside of Jesus, because the Lord is going to let him have that full power to deceive, be the great deceiver. And a lot of people who don't know the truth, because they want to rather believe the lie, will accept this so-called Messiah and grant him the powers needed. And there's no telling that if all of those worshipers of him give him his power. Maybe that's the way he obtained his power. Who knows? Even though we know God does it. But during those first 3.5 years, when you realize the rapture has happened, that'll be the time to start getting prepared. And this is what my message is. Start getting prepared when you see that rapture happen. Now, when people say go and store up things, don't think they're talking about canned goods and things of that nature. Canned goods are too heavy to be trying to carry around, trying to go and hide out in caves and mountains and fields and forests to try to hide out for 7 years or 3.5 years, however you choose to decide to go to hide out. But those little packets, like tuna fish packets, salmon packets, those aluminum pouches package that you can get from like the Dollar Tree, I say pack up on a lot of those types of things. No cans, that's gonna weigh you down. But during the trying times when famine hits, and this is a lot of things people don't put into their mind when they're thinking they've stored up. Oh, I've got all my water, I've got all my ammunition, I've got all of this, and I've got all of that. Right now, you're thinking with a clear mind and not under pressure. The people that's going to break into your homes to steal the things that you've got stored up, while you're thinking clearly now, I've got ammunition, I've got this. But imagine a crew of people, not just one or two people breaking in. You've got, just like the looters that break into these businesses and steal necessary things during a fight for, you're going to take shoes, and just imagine that. People are solely coming in for food because they need to feed their family, and they're not even thinking about your family. No one's thinking clearly. And while you're loading up your gun or have them loaded up trying to shoot this person or that person or trying to subdue this person or that person, you've got other people who's probably shooting at you and still bogarting and stealing your stuff. So you got to think better than that. We're not under pressure yet, to the point where we feel like it's life or death. Because when it gets to the point where it's life or death, guess what? You're gonna say they can take that food. I'm trying to survive. I'll find some food somewhere else. You're not gonna sit here and fight for your food, just for the simple fact that it's not worth dying over. So you need to find a way to store something, not inside your house in a cupboard or in a bunker in your basement, or you need to find an area where you can designate where this will be the location I get to if I can make it here, where I can obtain my food, get what I need, and keep going. You need something like that around. And you need to make sure that you have something like that around. You got to consider floods. You got to consider fire. You got to consider the heat. You know, you just gotta. It's a lot of things you have to consider. You know, things are not gonna be normal when it's time hit. I felt like it's gonna be desolate out here. You know, things that you thought would be here probably won't even be here anymore. Like certain trees and landscapes and stuff like that. And especially if you're out in the wilderness or trying to get to it, when you see a lot of these landscapes gone, something that you are familiar with, you're not gonna know which direction you're going. You're just gonna be totally lost. Like where? I remember, I can't even think. A Chick-fil-A was right here, or I thought it was right here. You know, I don't know which way to go from here because things are just gonna be that bad. You know, the wrath of God is gonna destroy a lot. You're gonna see a lot of dead people. You're gonna see a lot of deaths, a lot of dead people, horrific things going on around that time. The zombie apocalypse, because people are gonna be so zoned out, not gonna have no natural affection, no care in the world to ration and think clearly. Like, oh shoot, maybe I need to do this. No, they're gonna be so zoned that I need to eat, I need to do this, I need to do that, that anything in their path is just in the way, and they're gonna destroy it so they can do what they need to do. You gotta keep that mentality in your mind or whatever. But during the tribulation, there's still going to be time to be saved. It's going to be extra hard, but you still can be saved. Trust. Right now, the first 3.5 years, you're going to find everybody's trusting because everybody feels saved and they feel like a rescuer has come. And you're going to be an open book. You're going to feel like you've got friends and you can share where you've packaged and stored things at. You're going to feel like these people are worthy of the information that you have in your head and mind, and you're going to share that information. And it's going to be an ignorant share, because you're going to be so trusting in people around the first 3.5 years that you just don't see how they could even turn on you. But you got to imagine, under pressure once again, when this Antichrist turn around and says, hey, you're either going to take this mark or you're going to be beheaded or tortured. And if you don't take the mark of me, you die. And you're going to die by the hands of what I say you're going to die like. Not what you think you're going to die like, how I feel like you're going to die like. Until I can get you to take the mark of my name or whatever it is he wants you to take. So imagine some of your friends who, they ain't got time to be trying to find Jesus, because they trying to say their life now. They're too scared and they're trying to find their life now, and they receive the mark on the hand or the forehead, and you don't know. Maybe you don't know, or maybe you do know, but let's just say you do know. Guess what? They got all the information you've ever told them about where you're storing at, where you're staying at, where you're hiding out, where you're headed to, what's your path. And guess who they're going to tell that to? The people who work for the Antichrist. And guess what? They're going to find you, and then it's going to be your turn to accept Jesus or the beast, the Antichrist. So be careful on how you deliver your information and what information you give. Some things you probably will have to trust in the beginning, but everything is not to be shared. So just letting you know, no, I don't know how the tribulation is going to be, but because the devil has nothing to do with decent and in order, everything's going to be out of whack and chaotic. And there's no loyalty with Satan. He has no loyalty with any of you. So while you're teaming him and you're accepting the mark of the beast, just know you get to die too. You know, you will die too. And if it's not by his hands, you got a higher maker. You got the Lord to attend to, just because you took the mark. So I'm gonna put the description link of the Great Chicago Fire that happened in the 1970s. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not gonna be on here too long. I feel like I've already done this for an hour already, and I intended to stay on long enough, but you just need to read Revelation. If you don't want to read from the first 4 chapters of it, first 3 to 4 chapters, then start with chapter 4 and read from there when trumpets and seals and bowls get broken. Read those. Please read those, because those are going to help you to know what's going to take place. And of course, a lot of things people say is symbolic, and they can't, what are you talking about? Locusts with people faces, and forget all of that. Read what's going to happen. Stop trying to compare what something